Hi guys, what's up? Welcome here at another episode of marketection, and today we're going to speak about another very important topic. We're going to understand what a data controller is. And in most cases, you are the data controller unless you're working for a data processor, but we're going to talk about data processor in an absolutely other video. The reason why it's very important is because I really want to make companies or perhaps marketeers, business leaders understand what kind of responsibility they bear under the principles of the EU GDPR. So what is a data controller according to privacy laws? And the first things first is that every single company that needs to take your personal data from you. So that might be your contact details, your credit card details, your email address, your postal address, your date of birth, your name, surname, all of that is your personal data, your IP address. When you Google something or when you go on a website and that website uses cookies to track you, all of that is personal data, and you have to give it to a company. Now, the company usually is providing you with some kind of value. The marketeers, the marketing teams of companies, when they want to do direct email campaigns, so on, they want to provide you with some kind of value, so they want to take your data. The thing is that no data shall be collected for absolutely no reason. It's like a duh moment, like it only makes sense that whatever data you take, it needs to serve a certain purpose. And yesterday we spoke about the principle of accuracy, and all the principles in the end of the day come back to this word purpose. And I really want you to understand and remember this word in purpose whenever it comes to privacy. All of the principles of the GDPR in the end of the day come back to making sure that you are processing data under certain obligations. So the first point is that a data controller is a company that sets the means and the purposes of processing your personal information. For example, Amazon processes your personal address for the purposes of delivering a package, just like I gave you the other example that a company processes your email address for the purposes of direct marketing twice a week through ConvertKit services, for example. Now, you may go ahead and say, you know what, Amr, but I thought GDPR and all the rights, I am the one who controls the personal data. Why does the GDPR, when honorable members of parliament decided to vote on the law that is called GDPR, name the companies as data controller? And the answer to that is because, yes, you are always in control of your data, and that is called your fundamental right. Fundamental right to privacy is something that the EU beautifully has accepted into their agenda, because they understood that if companies do what they're supposed to do, it only boosts the economic output of the countries in the EU and generally overall, because there is trust restored into the corporate world from the consumers. Again, it's all about the brand audience relationship. So yes, the GDPR just puts obligations on a company to treat your data with the same dignity you would yourself. That is why they're actually called data controllers. Treat it with care and know what you're doing. What does it mean when I say that, companies have to go under certain obligations to make sure that they treat your data with care and to show evidence in documentations that they have treated that? There are millions and millions of euros of fines, hundreds of thousands of euros of fines given by data protection authorities to businesses who have not understood and implemented the ethical principles of the EU GDPR. What are those obligations of a data controller? That includes, having a record of processing activities, having a privacy statement, GDPR, making sure that your GDPR rights are always fulfilled, following the principles of the GDPR like accuracy, transparency, accountability, and so on. Data protection impact assessment, which I mentioned earlier on, is very, very important in that regard, because that is the way how the GDPR makes sure whether you know what you're doing and whether you really know what you're doing. The GDPR, for example, is a way for a company to know what kind of tangible, intangible impact that would have on you, because the company have to put themselves into the shoes of the consumer. Only that is how they can make a proper risk assessment. However, under all of these obligations, we have separate videos. We're going to make separate content about that. You can go ahead and watch that in our channel, no problem. But I just want to make sure how important these things are. And I'm going to keep mentioning this under this GDPR basics by #marketection, that the GDPR pushes you to do things that you should be doing anyway. That's how we understand that the GDPR is actually an umbrella that is making sure that consumer centricity is practiced from the core of your business. Why? Because most of businesses have the processing of personal data at their core of their business activities, be it either delivering packages through Amazon or direct marketing campaigns, making sure businesses are onboarding new customers. All of that involves personal data, because in the end of the day, business is done with human beings, is done with people. And if you are not implementing these things, if you're not understanding your responsibility as data controller, it's a really huge problem, and you should definitely reach out to us. And so today's core message is that businesses have to ensure that personal data they hold of their audience is treated with the same standard of care that a normal human being would treat his data with. And that is exactly when I say that this is the gold standard of privacy by the European Union. I'm going to always give you a pro tip as well. And today's pro tip is that to reduce the risk of getting a fine or a warning from a data protection authorities, ensure that your record of processing activities are in place. You are not a sensible data controller if you do not have a central register of where in your company you process personal data. Because frankly speaking, if you do not know what kind of personal data you have, what purpose you are serving, if every department is just doing for sake of doing something, having ropers and having DPIA NDAs and making privacy statements. I know that the legal world, also to earn money, has created this concept of that it requires some kind of huge legal knowledge. But the truth is that every marketeer, every HR professional, every customer agent should be actually able to conduct these things themselves as well. And we see that in banks. In banks we have the 3 lines of defense models, and that is very interesting because that ensures that at different levels people are aware of privacy regulations, of how, and again, banks, of course, it's a different story because they're processing another step, another level of personal data. It's not just marketing campaigns, right? We're talking about transaction details and so on. That is very personal to human beings. In the end of the day, it all comes down to the principle of accountability, and all the GDPR regulations, all the laws, the articles are based on certain principles that are accepted to and by society. Every single law is based on that. So before you go ahead with implementing anything, you have to understand the principles of GDPR. Otherwise, you're not building your foundation for that. I hope you guys like this video, and I shall see you guys on the next one.